Hello and welcome to The Studio Demands It, an exercise in creative thinking where we will challenge ourselves to conceptualize, pitch, and craft a film or series based on the demands and stipulations from one of you listeners acting as a hypothetical Hollywood overlord. We talk movies all the time.
All the time.
And as screenwriters ourselves and avid cinephiles, we'd like to believe we can meet any demand thrown at us. We will be your screenwriters for this episode. I am TCD Witt, and joining me, as always, is Jim, nonviolent man of action Burzelic. Hey, Jim.
Hello.
Favorite nonviolent man of action heroes?
Well, we were just talking about him. MacGyver.
MacGyver, yeah. My name I had jotted down for you was Jim Angus MacGyver Burzelic.
Yeah.
But
that's too close to my actual middle name, which is MacGyver's Anger. MacGyver's Anger. No, that's what it is now. Yeah. I just wanted to reverse them, and instead I mixed them.
You made MacGyver's Anger. MacGyver's Anger sounds like a character's name.
It does, actually. I'm going to make that'll be like a D&D character.
MacGyver's Anger. Well, my favorite nonviolent hero just off the top of the dome is Doctor Who, which sounds like Doctor Who would go up against someone named MacGyver's Anger.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your name?
I'm MacGyver's Anger.
Oh, what an apt name.
I've got so much anger, I'm going to make everyone angry.
Violently. Well, I'm going to defeat you with nonviolent means.
That makes me MacGyver's.
MacGyver's. Oh, great. Well, that's rude.
Oh, yep.
That was me, my tablet making noises.
Podcast over.
I've ruined 3
seasons down the drain.
There aren't a lot of nonviolent heroes that I can like. I mean, it's difficult to have, right? Like you want to see. It
also starts depending on what we end up counting as violence.
Well, like
right, because like MacGyver, he'll throw down.
Yeah,
but in self-defense.
Or like Mr. Miyagi.
So that's technically violent.
Mr. Miyagi would be like
sure he beats the crap out of some teenagers. But he was defending another teenager. Is that non-violent? Nah, I mean that's violent, but he promotes not violence up until some skeletons try to basically kill you.
Yeah.
In front of a fence.
I suppose when I think of like easiest example, just because the room is littered with it right now, it's like think of the Marvel heroes and all the Marvel heroes.
Those movies are filled with heroes. Like that's a whole other discussion.
Filled with heroes of punching and kicking and shooting.
Yeah. These heroes, the Marvel heroes kill.
Yeah, but actually,
this is like tangenting into a whole other conversation.
No,
a long time ago, I got into I get into still to this day arguments about what makes a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, my favorite definition of a superhero is a hero who doesn't. A part of it, actually, there are several things, but a hero who doesn't kill.
Yeah,
superheroes don't kill. That's why Batman there's this contingent of Batman fans and Superman fans that want those heroes
breaknecks
to kill the bad guy.
Murder Joker.
Right? Like he causes all this trouble. Just kill him. There's so many reasons not to. And what makes them superheroes is that they do not fall to those levels.
Yeah. That's the very definition of someone like Batman and Spider-Man and Superman is that they won't kill.
Yeah.
As opposed to like a vigilante who will. And yeah, the thing is that like all the Marvel heroes pretty much are punching, kicking, shooting, killing.
Yeah.
But the difference between how they handle it versus, we'll pick on DC as always, is the glorification of it, right?
Sure.
Like people, Ben Affleck.
No, let's not pick on Judge Dredd.
Judge Dredd. No, that's a completely different situation.
Why?
I'll just looking at the way Batman, the best Batman fight we've ever seen is Ben Affleck in that freaking warehouse. But also it's very uncomfortable to watch because he's like killing people. That's not cool.
As opposed to the Tim Burton one where he's driving down the street just shooting,
mowing people down,
machine gunning down bad guys.
But then you look at something like the opening of Winter Soldier when Cap lands on the frigate and he's just kicking guys off the edge of things and hitting them with his shield and he's taking them out. And one can assume they're going to be in traction at the very least, but they don't linger on it. We don't see blood splatter.
Yeah. It's not a glorification of the death, just the defeat.
Yeah,
if you will. I don't know if that counts or if that's splitting hairs for some folks.
Yeah,
but I don't remember him. He must throw a punch or two in the cartoon. But Captain Planet. Getting back to naming nonviolent.
Yeah, Captain
heroes.
Planet. I don't remember. No way he ever.
At least the 5 kids. Right?
I don't think he ever threw a punch.
I don't think so.
That's so weird. Captain Planet came up in a conversation where there was a bit of a 10-year gap between some of the people at the table and the other people at the table. And we're a planet. You're a planeteer. You can be one too. Saving our planet is the thing to do. And like half the people at the table were like, "Yay, Captain Planet!" And then just the younger end of things were like, "What?" And then it was the realization that Captain Planet's wearing like a red crop top. Like he's blue all over. And so his red insignia with the yellow globe at the center of his chest, it stops at his nips. And then he's just blue down to his like his waist and then red around the crotch.
I mean, I choose to believe he's just wearing a him toned body
full body suit. I think you are correct. Yeah, I was talking off mic like earlier about like was the 90s had some great concepts for shows.
It also had some
real crap because like Captain Planet was edutainment.
Yep.
It was like the anti-G.I. Joe.
By that, I think it was the same studio. They made James Bond Jr.
Oh, I remember James Bond Jr. Yeah. Reboot that.
Nah.
Hey, fans. We'll do a James Bond episode eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
But actually, you know what? This segues nicely into our episode for today.
Okay.
The James Bond conversation, everything we've been doing right now kind of segues nicely in here. So let's get this party started. You amazing listeners have given us a growing collection of demands from studios literally all over the world. These demands have been submitted at studiodemandsit.com or on Twitter at studiodemandsit. You can send us any demand you like, and we have to make something up right here on the spot. We don't even read the full demand until right here in this moment. Well, not this moment, like a couple seconds from now.
For the most part, the surprise is a part of it.
Yes. The spontaneity of it and putting us on the spot. So thanks for everyone who has been submitting. Keep them coming. And please keep sending responses. We've slowly started getting people whose demands we've met hitting us back up to let us know how we've done.
Very much.
We appreciate that. So let's get to today's demand. This is from Douglas at Down the Hall Productions. You're going to know that it is as soon as the first words here. Indiana Jones is one of the greatest action heroes of all time. Cinema has been shaped in many ways by his films, for good or bad. But despite the import of these movies, there has never been any way to successfully franchise the character on the big or small screen without Harrison Ford. In fact, it may not even be possible to do so. Solo is a really fun movie. We agree. Mm-hmm. Solo is a really fun movie. And as mentioned on the show, thank you for listening, as a precursor to what we've been given with the man. Oh, sorry. Let me read that again. Solo is a really fun movie. And as mentioned on the show, a precursor to what we've been given with The Mandalorian. But it will forever have the stigma of that's not Harrison. That's not Harrison Ford. So that's not Han Solo. Even Kingdom of the Crystal Skull suffered from Ford being so old. And the audience was definitely not on board with the adventures of Mutt Williams.
No.
Yeah. No, when that hat, I remember in the theater seeing that as soon as the hat is blown off the hat stand and rolls towards Shia LaBeouf and he picks it up and he looks at it and he's about to put it on. I remember someone in the audience going, "Fuck no." And then Harrison snatches it out of his hand and walks. He's like, nah, kid. No one was on board for that. So is there a future of Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford, without Dr. Jones himself? The studio demands you find a way to craft a new Indiana Jones series without Harrison Ford. We demand a 3-picture deal. We demand a direct link to the series that already exists. Disregard any comics, games, novels, and the show. Mm-hmm. No rebooting! Exclamation point. We demand you capture the impossible lightning of Raiders, Temple, and Crusade. From Douglas. This is
we get to not acknowledge Crystal Skull.
Well, okay. See, he didn't omit Crystal Skull. He's just commenting that the magic is in the original trilogy. I think we have to acknowledge Crystal Skull's existence. Okay. But there's an easy fix to that. Temple of Doom is a prequel. Yeah. It takes place the year before Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah. So there's no reason that Indiana Jones 5 couldn't take place before 4. That's the simple solution there, because then we don't have to acknowledge Harrison Ford's or Indiana Jones being married or having a kid. Hell, Marcus could still be alive, although I think the actor passed away.
Oh, did he?
I think so, yeah. I would Google it, but
yeah. I think you're right.
So we can. Yeah, there's comics, there's games, there's literally like 100 novels of Indiana Jones, which made it all the weirder that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was sort of as weak as it was, because they had so much material they could have pulled from. The old point and click adventure, the Lost City of Atlantis.
Mm-hmm.
I remember. I cannot verify if this is true or not, but I do remember hearing that the Disney animated Atlantis was originally conceived as an Indiana Jones script, and then
I think I've heard that.
Adapted, like adjusted to be. And when you watch that movie, you can absolutely see Milo being Dr. Jones. Everything tracks in there. The betrayal of the type of bad guy that's in there, and if it's not, it's an awesome homage to Indiana Jones.
Okay, I think I got some ideas.
You do? Okay. I do too. Because this isn't the first time this idea has come up. I saw Indiana Jones as a subject matter, and I thought, yeah, we could certainly have a conversation about this. But where do you want to start?
So the thing that I think is going to be hard to do is I think the route I'd want to go is to try to take it in the direction of James Bond.
Okay.
In that we're going to change indies. No, I'm explaining this wrong. James Bond has changed who is James Bond without losing itself.
Sure. Like every iteration of James, and sometimes within the run of an actor, they pull back or they go too far, right? Like every time they go too far with the James Bond, they rein it into something simpler. Yeah. And that pendulum swings wider and wider each time, because you go from Die Another Day to Casino Royale. That's a big swing. Yeah.
So my first inclination is to do something like that, to basically separate Indy from his own continuity, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Right? Like you pointed out how the second movie takes place before any of that. Cool. Let's embrace that idea of these aren't in any sort of chronological order, so we don't have to acknowledge the other movies in a concrete way.
Yes.
Perhaps that's even one of the problems of 5. They tried referencing
Crystal Skulls 4. 5 is coming out next year.
Oh no,
that's okay.
Hey, I feel sick now.
The director of Logan is directing the movie.
I like that movie.
Yeah. And Phoebe Waller-Bridge is in it. Mads Mikkelsen, obviously going to play a Nazi.
Is that obvious?
Surely he'll be the bad guy. Hey, if Ben Mendo can play a good guy in Captain Marvel and surprise everyone, forget it. Okay, so talking about continuity.
So first of all, that's the direction.
James Mangold. Sorry, I just remembered what the director's name was. Continue.
That's the direction I would want to go. Whatever we do it's not going to be about acknowledging any previous movies.
I 100% sign on for that, because Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was too dependent on the previous movies, and this is my complaint for Pirates of the Caribbean, of just they can be loosely connected, but let these movies stand on their own. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull doesn't really stand on its own because there's a little too much calling back. The best stuff in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is like the motorcycle chase through the streets, like throughout the campus. Like that's a great sequence. It's practical.
Well, I mean, there's too much CG in it, but honestly, I think the jungle chase is really good. It's a little over the top with the
monkeys and
I don't like the monkey scene. I don't like, and I'm okay with it, but the super fast jungle removing trucks,
sure,
that's a little over the top.
If they had just done a jungle chase without a machine in front of them, right? Like if they had just driven through the jungle.
Let there be a road. Let there be like a hard path. Yeah. And it can be trucks. That's fine. It doesn't have to be like super lumber trucks. Those. No, don't do that.
So in our Indiana Jones 5 here, or whatever we're choosing to do here.
Yeah.
The thing is, keep going. I'll keep going. I won't.
Beyond, so I would want, not only are we going to recast Indy, I do think setting, he's most successful during the 30s, war,
during the Nazi era, from the 30s to the 40s.
Yeah.
It gives us such a definitive bad guy.
Yeah. Now, granted, also now we've moved along as a culture to where even doing cartoonish mustache twirling Nazis is a little kind of off, like putting off color.
Spielberg himself, even
that is where we're going here. Is we're doing pulp. We're doing pulp era stuff. Mm-hmm. So, I'd have that.
I do have I have an idea that. You keep building.
I have an idea of what I would want the mystical element to be, the thing that they're searching for.
You got your MacGuffin.
Yeah.
I'll save my. Now, I'm pocketing my idea.
You may need to pull it. You might not like where I go. Mine's pretty big. It's huge. It's a very big thing. Because I know the crystal skulls. I love the crystal. In real life, the myth of the crystal skulls, I think is great. That was a perfect place to go with Indiana Jones, and then I think Lucas made it too much. It was like, oh, it's these alien skulls, and then those alien skulls, and then this, and it got too big and far out. It wasn't.
When you think of Raiders, like they're going after the Ark, right?
Mm-hmm.
Temple of Doom, it's the Shankara stones, and Last Crusade, it's the Holy Grail, right?
It's more about having mystical artifacts and less sci-fi.
The artifacts themselves are the thing they're chasing,
mm-hmm.
and don't really start getting involved directly in the plot until the conclusion. With the crystal skulls, there was a lot of the crystal skulls throughout. As opposed to it being the object that they're chasing, it became the object that they were like fighting with and like tossing it back and forth. I don't know.
Yes, they did do a lot. That does happen throughout the indie movies too.
Sure, it's like getting the Ark, losing the Ark, chasing it down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, man.
But for whatever reason, it felt very different, and I think it's because I don't know why, because that final scene is as big. Well, I guess literally geographically, it's a bit bigger
mm-hmm.
than
there's
in Raiders. Sorry,
the island that they get to, Tanith. Oh, when they're in the desert.
The way all of the spirits kill everyone whose eyes are open.
Boom. Yeah.
Is honestly as big and bombastic and ostentatious as the skulls making their UFO
their interdimensional traveling UFO.
Yeah. So I don't know if I can put a finger on why that just didn't work for me.
There's people who've analyzed Crystal Skull far better than we could right here on the spot. So I'm going to riff from a couple people. Red Letter Media did a really great Plinkett review of Crystal Skull. It's two parts. It's as thorough as their
the Star Wars one?
The Star Wars
ones,
the
Phantom Menace.
But the thing that they pointed out that, like, I guess I hadn't considered that, is Indiana Jones doesn't gun anyone down. He's not a man of action in terms of like fighting. And it's weird to think that I'm saying Indiana Jones needs to kill some people, but it's the bite is gone. There's no in Raiders, he says it's not the years, it's the mileage.
Mm-hmm.
And in Crystal Skull, it's the mileage and the years.
Yeah.
And getting him actively pursuing, actively fighting for what he believes is right, making him more, I don't know. You're like, I don't know what's wrong with Crystal Skull. I'm like, well, there's a lot of things wrong with Crystal Skull, but it's like close.
Sure. Well, obviously we want to avoid the pitfalls that they fell into.
Sure.
But so anyway,
what's your big object? What's the MacGuffin?
My MacGuffin. Yeah. It's Indiana Jones and the Hollow Earth.
Oh, all right. See, I know you got some Hollow Earth.
I love me the Hollow Earth. And the thing is, the Hollow Earth falls into the pulp era really well. And Nazis very often are also like, we're also in the Hollow Earth.
Dude, I've literally written at least 6. Client work. Yes.
Yeah. Well, beyond that, there's a whole role-playing game about the Hollow Earth. It's so fantastic.
Hey,
go check it out. It's called Hollow Earth. Or the Adventures of I forget. Look up Hollow Earth. It's great.
Kong versus Godzilla just went Hollow Earth.
So don't ruin it for me.
Oh,
please.
sorry. Yeah.
No,
we want old school Journey to the Center of the Earth pulp. So
that kind of thing. Yeah.
You get yourself an opportunity for set pieces of chasing through caverns, right? Descending into deeper into the earth.
Mm-hmm.
There's some mystical elements there. Hell, there's even opportunity for Indiana Jones to come across. See, it's almost Atlantis-esque. If you think of animated Atlantis, that there's a city of people underneath there.
Mm-hmm.
So you give an opportunity for Indiana to come across the potential love interest and some sidekick action villain. Hollow Earth is a great place, great setting to go. I like where your head's at with that.
Done.
That's it. That's your pitch there. But that's
again, I don't know if that's too big.
So, is there something? Is there an item to get to Hollow Earth, or get to the Hollow Earth to get an item? Right,
once you bring in the Nazis, that kind of it all starts writing itself. I don't know what the object is yet. It could be the Spear of Destiny.
Want to go?
That should almost be its. That should almost be its own thing. I think I don't because the spear. In my opinion, the spear has enough mythology about itself that to just make it the key to this other thing.
Well, just if Hollow Earth is the setting and Spear of Destiny is the object, is what I'm suggesting. So Spear of Destiny is another religious artifact.
It is.
Right. So we got the Ark of the Covenant, which had the 10 Commandments in it. We have the Holy Grail, right? The Spear of Destiny is the spear that killed Christ. That Christ didn't die on the cross. He died with finally being stabbed by the Roman soldier.
Yeah.
And the blood is on the spear. Mm-hmm. And this is an item in Nazi mythology that Hitler wanted because it bestows power on the wielder.
So because it's biblical and the Bible doesn't connect to the Hollow Earth, that's why I don't really want to do that. Okay. But what we can do, even though in our modern times, our science is pretty friggin' great, and they've figured out what it was used for. Although I think most people don't know. So I like the idea of using the, I'm going to say it wrong, the Antitherian Device.
Okay.
So it's this weird gear box that archaeologists found in the oceans off the coast of Greece or something in the early 20th century. No one knew what it was for, what it did. I propose it's basically a compass to the Hollow Earth.
Okay, and then what is the advantage of getting to Hollow Earth? What is the advantage of getting here? If it's an entire kingdom or a location to get to, why get there? What do we our heroes and villains are chasing this place down?
MacGuffin.
It's always about power, right? Yeah. It's always about their...
Well, the Nazis chased occult objects specifically to harness their power, both real and myth.
Now, doing it in the 30s and 40s gives us the perfect villain to go against. I don't think there was anything wrong with choosing the communist Russians of the Red Scare to be villains. But they're basically Nazi light. Yeah,
they're Nazi light. B, it's been established.
We said Nazi a lot in this.
We did. B, it's been established that Indy is old. When fighting the Russians.
Sure. Yeah. And you would rather...
I would rather have a younger one. I think if we're going to recast Indy, by the way, I also want to recast everyone. I would bring Marcus back. I would bring a bunch of people back and we would recast them all.
So in the show, the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, we had his 10-year-old adventures, and then we had his late teens, early 20s adventures. It was Sean Patrick Flannery. He fought in World War I. Every episode, he met some historical or fictionally historical character.
Sure.
There's an episode where he meets Nancy Drew, he meets Ernest Hemingway. Are you okay? So you're not suggesting you're talking 30-something, Harrison Ford, that this could take place right after Raiders.
Yes.
Right.
It could take place and
between Raiders and
Last Crusade.
Yeah. I would propose to maintain Last Crusade as The Last Crusade. So I would say between Raiders and Last Crusade.
Sure.
So in that the early 40s would be. Oh wait, when does Last Crusade take place? There's no way to know. There's no way we could possibly find out that information.
No.
And so you are suggesting a full recast. You're pitching a solo here.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Indy is tracking down the
Antitherian Device.
Antitherian Device. It comes to him, like it comes into his possession. Oh, okay. This could be a situation where, say, he goes into his office at school and there is a bleeding, dying friend who has the device, who says, Indy, take this, and like dies in his office, leaving him the first piece of the puzzle. And so then it's like
I'm showing TC a picture,
showing me a thing
of the Antitherian mechanism.
Looks like the X-Men symbol.
It does.
So,
and up until within the last decade, we didn't know what it did. So, and we do now.
We do now. It's not anything cool.
Well, it's kind of cool. It predicts eclipses and movement of
that's pretty
stars
cool.
And stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, okay. So, but
I mean, if you really want to, we could have it basically predict when the stars align and friggin' gate opens and
let's do this.
Elder God comes.
Yeah, in the Hollow Earth.
Yeah,
that's where the gate will be. The center of the Earth is like an opening. The opening, the cold, like Indiana Jones starts with an adventure, right? Like going in to get the rock chasing him, and the James Bond-esque opening of Temple of Doom, and we see the flashback of him as a kid for the third one. I would suggest the opening of this being an unfolding of getting a thing.
Sure.
But to be revealed that it's not Indiana Jones, it's someone else who then ends up in Dr. Jones's office at school with the device bleeding to death, saying, Henry, and then he's given the first piece of the puzzle. And so Marcus, this old colleague of ours just showed up and look what he gave me. Oh, Indy, you know what this is? It's just a myth, but like I want the facts first. But if this is what we think it is, this is the first piece of a very important puzzle. Well, we're not the only ones who are going to be looking for this. He was clearly running from someone. He was shot to death, right? I don't know. I'm just pitching this off the top of my head.
I don't like the cold open without Indy.
Without Indy, okay. Well, then we could have a cold open,
especially if we're going to give him a new face.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, you are correct. I keep forgetting that that's part of this. There's a hitch in this giddy up that we have to have a new face. So, Raiders opens with Indy. That's not connected to the plot of the movie.
Correct. Yeah.
Similarly with Temple, similarly with Last Crusade. So yeah, the cold open of Indy on an adventure, getting back to school, and then discovering the guy in the office. Go ahead.
I would put him on something like a glacier.
Mm-hmm. Get him in the snow.
We haven't had him in the snow.
Well, the snow.
I guess in Raiders they're up in the Himalayas for a scene or two.
Right.
But
I'm your goddamn partner.
Yeah. But like having a whole scene where like it involves like the glacier that he's on like starts cracking and falling apart. So whoever he's running away from that's trying to get whatever he's just gotten.
Yeah.
People falling through cracks and stuff like that, and he has to get to a boat and
jumping over like a crevasse that's opening up. All right, I'm taking my idea out of my pocket here.
Okay.
So Doug here from our demand, Douglas said, "I want a 3-picture deal. We have to franchise this new Indiana Jones."
Oh, that's right. I'm working so hard at just one of them.
That's okay. We don't have to think of a trilogy. We're absolutely not going to think of a trilogy. But you're oohing and on there. So that's okay. We're not doing a trilogy. It has to stand on its own. But I think I have the seed to how to franchise this, because also part of the demand is how do you continue Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford, which is what we're pitching here.
Yeah.
This is my proposal. Love it or hate it. Let's find out.
Here we go.
If we have this opening sequence, it is, let's say, 10 years after Temple of Doom. Okay.
Okay.
And Short Round is here. Short Round is still his partner in crime.
All right.
So that we can have Short Round around for this adventure a lot. Maybe not. He doesn't have to. Maybe not through the whole thing or whatnot. But establish Short Round as Indiana Jones' protege, so that this franchise can continue with Short Round as opposed to Indiana Jones. No one wanted Mutt Williams, right?
Sure, no one wanted Mutt Williams, but the thing is, we want the adventures of Indiana Jones. We don't want the adventures of
Short Round.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, Short Round Jones. Well, here's the thing. I think there's an opportunity here, and it's okay if you're poo-pooing the idea. We're both the studio here.
Short Round and the Faces of Mars.
Okay.
Right. It's
where I thought you were going.
Okay.
With your let's James Bond this, right?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to let Indiana Jones be a moniker and not a man.
Oh.
And if Short Round is with him on this adventure, if the goal is to have an Indiana Jones adventure without Harrison Ford, then why couldn't Short Round adopt the moniker later in his life and become Indiana Jones?
Right. He did take the name from the dog.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's
I see what you're saying.
Can I complain about Crystal Skull for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mac should have been Short Round. In Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Mac is Indiana Jones' friend, and then they worked together in the war, and then he betrayed him, but then he actually didn't betray him because he was working for the CIA, and then it's a double, triple cross or whatnot. And who the hell is Mac? And Ray Winstone's not a great actor. If it had been with just slight adjustments, Short Round had been in Mac's position, the betrayal would have been, I can't believe you're doing this with me, Shorty. Like, this is, and it'd be a full-grown adult Short Round here, in his 30s, 40s, to be betrayed by him, only to be like, I was doing what we did in Berlin, Indy.
Yeah.
Oh, Berlin, punch. And then they're like, what's going on, Short Round? All right, I'm working for the CIA. What? I know you don't like working for the government, but I have a future ahead of me. And like, I don't, that's fixing Crystal Skull as opposed to what we're doing now.
Yeah.
But
no, I like that. Well, I feel like whether you intended to or not, bringing that up suggests something we could do here. While I do want to recast, if and when any repeat characters, like having Marcus there again, I would want to recast everyone, bringing Short Round in that way and having him be older.
He's like 10 years older now, so he'd be, nearing 20. But
I wanted to avoid continuity stuff and just make it an episodic pulp.
Sure. It's Shorty, innocuous, younger than Indiana Jones age. How's that? But you want him to be a little younger than Indy? I'm just
even like 20.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He'd be about 20. That's why I said like 10 years after Temple of Doom.
I think that'd work.
Gets us a young actor that we can make a bunch of movies with.
And he can resent being called that.
Yeah, I'm not a kid anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not Short Round anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
okay, Shorty.
Yeah. And that works towards the dysfunctional father figure that Steven Spielberg loves so much in the father-son relationship of Short Round. Almost like how Robin eventually wanted to become Nightwing. Like Tim Drake got mad at Batman for continuing to treat him as a kid.
Yeah.
Short Round could have that little bit of like, you got to trust me. I'm not just your sidekick anymore. I'm your partner. I'm your goddamn partner.
I am an associate professor.
To bring Shorty into the mix with the possibility of handing the baton to him. So then it's not Indiana Jones being recast as so-and-so. They literally handed the name off to someone else. You don't have to pretend this is Henry Jones Jr. This is a new Indiana Jones. And it just happens to be John Cho. John Cho's in his 40s now, so that doesn't work. But in this hypothetical, he'd be awesome.
I think I
Do we need to take a break?
No. I'm putting the trilogy together.
Oh, hey, okay. Hold that thought. If the notion is this first adventure is chasing the device I can't remember how to say,
Antitherian mechanism.
If that is the pieces of the puzzle to get to Hollow Earth, and at the center of the Earth is the Tesseract gateway opening to a better power source world that Indiana Jones has to stop or shove Nazis through, whatever, action set pieces along the way. I think as far as just like broad strokes storytelling goes, yeah, we could write that. Like we would just look at what makes those three movies great figure and checklist them off, right? Having the muscle of the bad guy to face off against some sort of creature fight, right? Like the snakes, the bugs, the rats, right? Having some sort of the muscle. There's the I guess like a femme fatale, the muscle and the heavy, or no, the heavy is the whatever brute character Indy has to face off again, and then our main villain. It does feel a bit going back to the well to just make cartoonish Nazis be the bad guy again, but I mean, those are the best movies.
Right? Like I don't know,
the Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah, like going back to the well. I don't know, like that's like saying G.I. Joe fighting Cobra again.
So like, I'm okay with that with going up against Nazis again. It would just be who's our main villain, right? Like what's something interesting we can do with a main villain here that isn't just another Belloc or another Donovan. Yes,
you did it.
Right, because like Kalima Shakti Day, like that racist stereotype Indian villain, Malaram.
Okay.
Having something a variety here, like what's a new villain. Because that's something that Indiana Jones did really well, that all three of those movies have a very different villain in them. Belloc is a bit like Donovan, but having someone that isn't the Red Skull.
that ends up being the thing, is that's the direction I would go, is basically an SS officer who has visions grander than the Reich itself.
Going rogue.
Yeah.
Hey, as long as we wear that on our sleeves, I'll roll with it. Is Joe Johnson going to direct this thing?
I think. Well, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to rein me in from just going full Hellboy.
You want it to be Rasputin here?
No, like I would end up putting like a Nazi head in a jar that runs a giant robot or something.
Oh man!
So right, I was just complaining about the Russian trucks in Crystal Skull are too big,
but a man with his head in a jar mounted to a body.
Let's do some steam robots. That's more realistic.
Futurama-esque. So it's Kenneth Branagh from Wild Wild
Dr.
West.
Lovelace.
Okay, let's take a break here. I'm gonna try to conceptualize a villain for this movie. And
you think about it, I have the trilogy, and it refocuses where the Hollow Earth goes, just so you know.
Okay, I do not want a part 1, 2, and 3 in this franchise.
Well, I mean, that's what they're going to end up being. They're not called part 1, 2, and 3, though.
No, these movies need to stand on their own.
It's a trilogy. Mm-hmm. No, we were asked for a
It said a 3-picture deal. It did not say a trilogy.
I could have swore you said trilogy.
Where is this?
You said to Jim.
Douglas from the studio said, we demand a 3-picture deal, not a trilogy. And I stand firm. I will fight you on this unless you pitch the best goddamn idea you can come up with. I refuse to say that this.
Well, I'm going to pitch it. I'm fine throwing it away, but I'm going to pitch it.
The trilogy of the
the pitch is coming.
The 3 Pirates of the Caribbean movies are a great. Those 1, 2, 3 are great. They should have been on their own.
They should have.
Yeah. And it doesn't change much.
No, yeah.
Save your idea. I'm going to think of a bad guy. We're going to take a break right here, folks. I'll fight you.
Hi there, I'm David.
And I'm Kate.
And we're the hosts of Another Zelda podcast.
There are so many good podcasts out there, and some of them in particular concern The Legend of Zelda.
That's right, Kate, and we are another one of them. That is actually the name of our show, Another Zelda podcast.
And in our show in particular, we talk about some of our favorite dungeons, characters, boss battles. We have top 10 lists.
Yeah, we do deep dives on game design and production aspects of the different Zelda games.
And we talk about our own experiences. We do some review episodes, talk about our challenges, our struggles, and our victories.
That's right. Really just almost anything that has to do with Zelda, we like to talk about it. A new episode comes out every other Friday, and you can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and YouTube.
And you can also check out our episodes on our website, anotherzeldapodcast.com.
That's right. All right, we will see you there.
Okay, bye.
Welcome to our new podcast. Welcome to our new podcast.
This isn't working.
Agreed. I think we're going to have to do it
turn by turn?
Well, now that you mention it, we are a brand new RPG video game podcast.
Our very existence hinges on turn-based gaming.
So join us on the Turn by Turn podcast, where we'll be talking about
Pokemon, Fire Emblem, Golden Sun, Shining Force, Mother, and so many more.
It's your turn to come and join us.
How many steps did I take out of the room?
Well, out of the room, you took, I think, 2, maybe 3.
And I just turned around.
A total of 10 steps were taken.
All right. He's a werewolf. I'm kidding.
You don't understand. There's a part of me that loves that.
That can be the second or third movie. Yeah. We can go up against vampires and werewolves.
That's for when we do the knockoff Nevada Smith.
No, it's the Hell Train. Like we're going back to Lone Ranger aspect.
Yeah.
There's something to vampires and werewolves being in the second movie of this 3-picture deal. But I want to hear your 3 ideas. Let me pitch my actual villain here.
Okay.
I say werewolf, but I'm not saying he's actually a werewolf. But having this leader of this group be like incredible. You said Hellboy earlier, and this sort of triggered it. Crazy superstitious. He's got crosses around his neck. He only shoots silver bullets. Like he is covering all his bases. He believes in all the myths as cold hard facts. So he seems mystical, and obviously there is mysticism and really paranormal things in this Indiana Jones world. He's on board for all of it, and he's prepped for all of it. So he has holy water on him because he believes in vampires. Yeah,
actually, I like that. I like that a lot, right? Because I'm in.
All right.
I'm in.
It gives him an interesting look. It would give him a ton of affectation depending on the actor taking on the role. Mm-hmm. That would be my pitch for like a unique villain, is someone who's just like all in about the superstitious and whatnot.
Because no one has done that yet. Thus far, Indy is always the first one to come around to, what if this is actually mystical?
I've seen a lot of strange things. No, that's Han Solo.
And I would actually give a line similar to that to that bad guy. Is he'd be like, you of all people, Dr. Jones, should know that there is more
by now. And that's something into not Crystal Skull again, where he's still a skeptic. And by the time he's that old, he can't be.
No,
especially after just the 3 movies he's survived.
Yep.
He knows this shit is real. So having the villain have that moment of like, you of all people, Dr. Jones, should believe in this.
Yeah.
You have seen things that none of us could ever dream of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but doesn't mean I like it.
Well, and also that villain, he would lump them together. You and I have seen things.
We have seen things, Dr. Jones, right? And so him being this villain being mystical and whatnot, he can even do certain things, right? Because like Malaram is like ripping people's hearts out.
He can do the.
I'm not saying he's like full on Harry Potter wizard style here, but there's a couple of things that he does
that are weird, that fall into the occult.
Yeah. And Crystal Skull sort of played with that because Cate Blanchett's villainous character was part of the program of mind readers in India.
Right, because that was a part of the whole Russian Cold War. Sorry. I love I love this stuff.
It could be awesome. It wasn't. So having this mystic tattoos on his arms and like up his neck.
Like there's a point. Ooh, I like that. There's a point where he reveals all of that stuff about himself.
So like having him and Indiana Jones have a conversation where like over the course of he's like rolling his sleeves up and like unbuttoning his shirt a little bit to show like he's like, I'm covered, dude. Like you don't know how prepared I am. There's nothing that you, professor, can throw at me that I don't already see coming. Because then
and then he takes a right hook.
Bow, man of action. But that allows Indiana Jones to get by the skin of his teeth and his just like grit, right? And even going so far as like with Malaram, that's the way Indy gets away from him at the end. Is he does the Kalima shot like
he does it. Yeah, he does it back at him. That's right, and it starts working.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, and his eyes light up. He's like, I can't believe this is working. So there's my villain. Yeah.
I like that. I like that villain. So I'm going to propose my trilogy that you're going to immediately discard.
I refuse to believe we can. Okay.
So it starts with the Antitherian Device, and that one would be called. I can't come up with her. It would be something. This sounds ridiculous. So, workshop it. Indiana Jones and the Map to the Stars.
He's just riding a bus in L.A. And if you look over here, this is Paul Giamatti's house.
But that would
Dr. Jones, you need to come back with me. Hey, Shorty, you got to buy a ticket to get on for the Map of the Stars here.
And that would be the Antitherian Device, right? Because it maps,
not him giving Hollywood tours.
No,
got it. Hollywood.
And what is alluded to by the end of it is that it's a map to somewhere on Earth. We don't know where. We got to find out. So by the end, they're like, or maybe the bad guys get it and like, oh, we got to chase them now, or somehow the information is shared. So that way into the second movie would be Indiana Jones and the Ship of Theseus.
Oh, just the title alone, you had me there. And the Ship of Theseus philosophical question is awesome. I'm going to
it would be an actual artifact. It's
the ship.
It's the boat they need to get to the Hollow Earth.
Wait. We've already been to the Hollow Earth.
We haven't.
Oh, okay.
No, in this trilogy, we haven't. The first one would just be this globetrotting adventure about the Antitherian Device. Basically, it's taking them to different places and like, oh, we're not aligning the stars right or something. I don't know whose voice this is, but it's someone's. And then the second movie would be about getting the ship to go to the Hollow Earth.
Okay.
And all of this is to get another a MacGuffin of power, a super crystal. Maybe a cube of some sort. Perhaps it's from the stars, a cosmic cube.
Oh, God.
No, that was...
Okay, I don't hate this, but I am going to stick to my guns on these movies standing on their own. But I am willing to do tiny overlaps. So Hollow Earth being the first one, chasing our mystic villain down there and defeating him by imploding the portal or whatnot and just escaping back to the surface. That's our whole adventure. But leaving there with, say, Short Round being like, there were other things like when they're entering like the final chamber to like get to the Hollow Earth, there's like Roman artifacts and Egyptian artifact and Short Round going so far as to like pocket one of them or grab one of them, something like that, so that we get a clue to what the next movie will be, but it's not a direct link per se, which would be the Ship of Theseus, to have some sort of symbol of like a ship in a bottle or some sort of mat, like see, because what you're doing by creating the Ship of Theseus as the second movie is we get Indiana Jones on a high sea adventure.
Oh, look what I did.
And if it's, and being like, however that wants to kick off, I would kick that second movie off with Short Round getting the cold open and then meeting up with Dr. Jones to hit the road to start the quest for the Ship of Theseus.
Okay.
And that way the movie stands on its own. That it opens with, it's not a direct link from one to the next. And
then
we get a second villain. Yeah, good.
Yeah, we get a second villain.
Oh man,
some sort of evil
Ghost Pirates.
Sort of evil high seas captain.
Ghost Pirate?
Yeah.
Ghost Pirates.
Ghost Pirates.
I don't want to turn it into like a Pirates of the Caribbean, but just more seafaring Indiana Jones adventure would be something we hadn't seen before.
If we're still setting it in that era, it could be a Q ship. A renegade or rogue Q ship. So Q ships. So early on in the war, I'm pretty sure it was still World War II. U-boats, a part of the rules of war, were that U-boats had to surface and give merchant ships warning that they were going to blow them up. Time for the crews to get off of the ship.
Better get out of here. We're going to blow you up
on the rowboats, on the escape pods.
Oh,
I can't
man.
Just the rowboats.
Yeah.
Q ships were basically invented or made they would look like merchant ships. They would wait for U-boats to surface to give this warning, and then they'd uncover torpedoes and quickly shoot the U-boat and take them out. And they were against the rules of engagement.
Bastards.
And so the idea of one of these Q ships, sort of the captain of it goes rogue, like, nah, we're not going to be a part of the military to take out the U-boats anymore. We're going rogue. We're gonna plunder. We're gonna plunder
so they become
anyone
like,
we want.
Like 1930s, 1940s pirates.
Yes.
Yeah, I like this. So so our main villain could just be the captain of that group.
And they're chasing down. First thing that comes to mind is the rumor about the trident of Poseidon.
Okay, so is the ship of Theseus going to be involved in the trident of Poseidon? Like,
sure.
Some sort of. So the MacGuffin,
or the ship of Theseus would be with the Poseidon, with the trident. Yeah, something like that. There's just another thing that came to mind. Ship of Theseus, still go with that. That's good.
I don't mind the trident being a thing too. But Pirates gives us a chance to recast another character. Katanga, the pirate from Raiders of the Lost Ark, is the black man who runs the ship.
That's right. Yeah.
Katanga, I think is his name. And there's one other character we can bring back into this second movie, which is Sala.
Sure.
Katanga, yeah, getting John Rhys Davies
real well.
Having Katanga be the pirate who helps out Indiana and Shorty, and to go against okay, so what gets Indiana Jones on the adventure here? Is it the search for the ship of Theseus? Is that like the rumor of, like, if Marcus is basically his M, like, Indiana, I gotta send you. Actually, let's send Marcus on this too. Let's get the whole gang in here. But the okay. The ship of Theseus has been
a bunch of different things.
No, go the ship of Theseus has been discovered.
Sure.
And Marcus and Indiana Jones, Dr. Jones, are going to wherever it is for like an event to talk to the pretty doctor who has discovered this thing in Africa or what have you, Madagascar, somewhere, Australia, just somewhere seafaring, right?
Okay.
And they're like looking at the ship or whatnot is the trident comes into play, and that's maybe the pirates attack during that. Like if the ship goes out, like, oh, we're on a little cruise and there's pirates. I don't know how to get the adventure going for Indiana Jones, but that's how we would get him to at least to a starting point would be, hey,
sure,
Henry, there seems to be the ship of Theseus has been discovered. Well, Marcus, come on,
ship of Theseus.
It's just a theory. It's just a philosophical conversation. We've been invited to go analyze it, and it could be a trick to get him there to analyze it to basically identify another thing, right?
Sure, I think.
Oh, and then make the woman the villain.
I'm trying to figure out what the ship of Theseus does, like what the artifact does, and I think I might be getting too mystical.
Yeah.
Like I'm the ship, for lack of another word, essentially teleports to any port or somehow just is able to mystically sail long distances or something like that.
Okay, I don't hate that. Because there are more than one. There's more than one by another name Bermuda Triangles in the world.
Sure.
Right. So what if those are all transportation points that the ship of Theseus is able to go, and that's why they're such successful pirates, because they're able to teleport from Bermuda Triangle.
So they already have it. They're not chasing. They're not also chasing down.
Yeah, maybe they're
the artifact.
If
the trident would actually be like, I like the idea that whatever this trident is, like in Raiders, it's actually a key to the map of where the ship can be found. The
trident itself. So like if coming to identify the ship of Theseus is the opening, right? And then they get there and Henry, Dr. Indy is looking at it and being like, this, Marcus, this is obviously fake. And then the woman shows up and is like, I knew it would be fake because I needed you, of all people, to come here and identify this, and then show him like a piece of the trident or something, and be like, hello, pretty lady. And also, what is this? I mean, you're pretty, but this is awesome. This is ancient Greek. This is, it's in such good condition. Yes, we believe it's a piece of the trident.
And so you want to make her the femme fatale?
Yeah.
So
sort of like Elsa in
the end, it turns out she's in league with the pirate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
And
they needed to get Indiana Jones to come find it for them.
Similar to, this is like Last Crusade, where they trick him into doing the dirty work for them.
Well, maybe we don't want to copy that.
Well, no, I'm not. It is a bit photocopy, but the set pieces being different. I'm not trying to like hand wave how similar this is to Last Crusade but
in the end, she betrays both of them.
Yes, in the end, I want her to be the big villain. Like Cate Blanchett is a great pick to play the big bad in Crystal Skull, and they just didn't use her well.
Yeah.
So I'm suggesting that the villainess in this isn't like Ilsa is the minion to Donovan, and she actually feels bad about it.
Yeah.
I'm saying in this, she's the mustache twirling villainess in the end, and totally hoses both Dr. Jones and our
like she kills him, which gives Jones just enough time to save himself from being killed by her as well, or something.
Yeah, and if the trident is the key to unlock the teleportation,
or better, she locks them both. She locks them both in the hold and starts sinking the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And Jones is like, we got to work together if we're going to get out of this. And he's all like, screw you. And he goes off to his side of the ship or whatever and gets himself killed, putting Jones and his friends or whoever in an even worse position. So now the stakes are raised for getting out of this sinking death trap.
Mm-hmm. Now, is the ship was fake? Does finding the actual ship and the trident like work together? Is it just the trident? Like, how do we? Does the trident?
Well, my initial idea was what the trident does. It was to sort of play around with the notion that it is a trident, and thus maybe it's a compass to the Bermuda Triangle.
Triangles. We're getting threes everywhere here. So So the ship of Theseus is just a red herring.
That's the device. Well, no, it could be, but I was thinking that's the actual vessel in which you travel through these.
Okay, so you need places. The ship of Theseus and the trident, like they go together hand in hand in order to transport yourself around the globe.
Something like that, yeah.
Having a moment of like the shimmer opening up and being like seeing constellations and be like that's the South Indian Sea. Sure. That's the Caribbean. What am I looking at here? And like putting it together like that's what this does. This is allows transportation. This is an incredible power, right? It's always about the power of the object.
Yeah.
What's our villainess's goal here? Does she just like she's letting her pirate boyfriend
tired of travel taking so long? She's looking for faster.
I dream of a future where it doesn't take days to travel the ocean. You can do it in hours. Well, honey, I don't think that's ever going to happen. Why would anyone want to travel that fast? What's her ultimate goal here? Right? We created a Nazi crazy Hollow Earth villain who wanted to have like an evil power source to control the world. She can certainly have like a smaller. She doesn't have to be a world conquering villain here because look again at Malaram. He just wanted to control the India. Yeah. Like he was just this is what he wanted, and Dr. Jones stopped him. So it could be. I mean, it would allow her through piracy to basically control all shipping lanes. She would control all commerce. Boy, you said turn this into James Bond. I didn't realize how literally we were going to take that. The villain who's like, I want to control all shipping lanes. No, she's Australian, right? Yeah, Croggy. Having I'd like. Maybe there's a better way to phrase that, but that's something that's a motivation. That's not bad. That's power. So I managed to take your idea without directly connect to the first one. What was your third in this trilogy? So if we're not going to do the connected trilogy, what I would want to do actually for the third one is I want to go back to your first idea of the Spear of Destiny. Oh, take it back. Take it back to a biblical artifact. End this off with the Spear of Destiny and. The villain from our first one shows up again, and he's super mad. So he doesn't die in the first one? Correct. Ooh, he got away. Well, right. I would imagine like he basically gets left in the Hollow Earth. Like all of his men are dead. He tries to get away. As far as we know, he was crushed by a bunch of rock or something. Right. But by this one, he's dug himself out, and he's okay, interesting. He's miffed. I don't mind this. Like it's there can be another villain that is initially in the race with Indy to get the Spear of Destiny. Yeah, it's unprecedented to think to bring a villain back, right? Because in every one of the existing ones, the villain gets their comeuppance. But it's not to say that we can't do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Spear Destiny, moving towards.
And I would want to do research to find out how and where the spear has moved around these times, because it didn't just stay in the Middle East and the cradle of the Mediterranean and stuff.
Sure.
It moved around. Like at one point, I think Alexander the Great had a hold of it. So it could be in Russia. At that time, I forget exactly. I actually think in real life, I think it might have been in France when Germany invaded.
Okay. Can we? Okay, then.
It doesn't mean it has to have been there, but
possible in tradition of what we've gotten with our previous trilogy of Indiana Jones movies, opening up the cold open being in the Napoleonic War, and then cutting to the cross, the Cortez's cross from Last Crusade. The whole thing is a young Indy gets that, and then it cuts to fast forward years later, and he's getting punched on a ship to finally conclude getting that damn cross, right? So having the opening be like the Napoleonic War, the Spear of Destiny disappearing into the sands of time.
But shouldn't it involve Indy in some way?
Well, that's okay, yeah.
I mean, I know with the second one we played with that convention. We broke the convention by putting.
And I'm glad you're okay with that. We should open with Indy. Yeah, you're right. I wonder. Okay, so if the Spear of Destiny,
we could keep playing with the convention. We could open without Indy. We do that whole action sequence showing the artifact get handed off or something like that.
Yeah,
and do like a pullback fade to a classroom where it's Indy talking about it to a class,
teaching the class.
Like everything we just saw is what he has been lecturing.
He prologued us.
Yeah.
About the Spear of Destiny.
Is that fun? Is that cool?
That is cool. However, it links the cold open directly to the rest of the plot, where the tradition of Indiana Jones, what he steals from before the Rock chases him, the artifact in Temple, the cross, like those aren't connected to the overall plot. It's just cold opens, Bond style. Quick correction. Everyone likes to pretend like the Daniel Craig movies did something that never been done before. Half the cold opens are connected to the plot of the entire movie for James Bond. About half. Okay. I think
it can be something else.
The two of them working together. We had Indy do it his own on the first one. We had Short Round on his own on the second one, catching up with Indy. And I guess we kind of discussed Short Round meeting up with Indy and finishing off the opening together.
Sure.
Okay, let's get back to the MacGuffin villain situation here.
Yeah.
If
we go right back to because the second one we went away from Nazis again.
Yeah. Despite
me bringing up the war and Q ships and stuff.
Yeah.
Which may have been World War I. I might be off on that. I don't know. Someone will correct me. But it could be Nazis chasing it again, so he's racing yet another Nazi.
Okay. Since we're playing in the era, and I certainly I don't want any of these to be caricatures or stereotypes. We're picking the villains of the German Nazis of the pulp era, the Indiana Jones. So forgive me if this is coming off bad.
Sure.
The Japanese side of World War II. If we go to the Pacific Front to kick, so that our villains aren't German Nazis, they're the Japanese of the era. That our villain we're not fighting against the swastika wearing Nazis. We're going against the Pacific side of like a Japanese villain.
Okay.
I don't know if that's inappropriate. I'm just throwing it out there. Where I'm more than okay making fun of German Nazis. I'll make fun of them all the live long goddamn day. But if it's inappropriate to suggest that we have a Japanese contingent of the war be the villain.
The reason that comes up less is because while there's plenty of mysticism in
Japan,
ancient Japan, like the 20th century Japanese weren't about the mysticism, right? Like that wasn't that wasn't a big part of their joining the Axis. They didn't care about artifact hunting the way Hitler Hitler did with his occult chasing SS.
Mussolini's Italians. What a bunch of weirdos. Mussolini's Italians. How about those as villains?
I mean, they also didn't chase artifacts, but
we're making them chase artifacts. We can do whatever we want here.
We could do that.
Moon men. So the Saucer Men from Mars was
yes, please. Yep, all of those.
Well, no, that was the original title that George Lucas pitched for 4. Yeah. It was Indiana Jones and the Saucer Men from Mars.
Saucer Men from Mars.
If that had come out in 1989.
It's just guys that drink tea with they hold the saucer in one hand. Why, yes, these are our artifacts now.
And we are from Mars. Thank you. How about the villain being an evil ally, a Brit, like an actual, like someone on the American side of things who's a traitor who.
Sure.
That it's someone who's works for Churchill.
The reason I wanted to be another Nazi is because it's the Spear of Destiny, and right, Hitler was an artifact he was going after. So that's sort of initially why I wanted. Oh well, why I was thinking.
If it's like a British villain, if it's someone who's an ally who's gone rogue, it would be like, hey, they're going after it. I'm going to go after it before they get it. Like, come on, Indy. Let's get this to destroy the world. Like, we agree here. We want to stop the Nazis, and that's what I'm doing.
So like maybe like not another. Someone from like the OSS.
Yes.
So someone who's like, we're going to get this artifact for Churchill.
Yeah. Like, I mean, even going so far as to make him almost a parody of James Bond of the era and have Indiana Jones versus James Bond. Like if our villain is some sort of man, like G-man for the Brits.
Okay.
That could be something that makes him a unique villain.
Yeah.
And if he's pseudo aligned himself with Nazis to like get his job done, like, then Indiana could jump. You're betraying everything.
There's a certain point where he's like the enemy of my enemy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have another unique villain. We get to still play with the Germans of the era, the Spear. Now you had suggested bringing back, if only momentarily, or like small role of bringing back our villain from the first movie.
I'm thinking like third act twist.
Okay, I like a third act twist of him coming back. I'm going to suggest going one step further if we bring back a few of his old villains, just for if freaking not like just maybe a glimpse.
I would rather just keep it to who we've introduced.
Fair enough.
In the new cast, if you will.
Yeah. If our villain's goal here is basically to get to what would amount to an atomic bomb before the atomic bomb, right? He thinks he's going to be a hero of humanity. Like, I'm going to have the Spear of Destiny, and I'll be able to obliterate our enemy.
Yeah.
And Indy would be like,
it belongs in a museum.
Yes, the Spear of Destiny belongs in a museum. And also, if you obliterate your enemy the way you want to do it, you're going to obliterate a lot of innocent people.
Well, and the legend of the Spear of Destiny is it never goes well.
No.
It goes well at first for whoever has it, and then it goes real bad.
Real fast.
Yeah, okay. So then like somewhere around somewhere in Act 3 or maybe the end of Act 2 or something, that's when our villain from the first one shows back up, and the Nazis think they find like, oh, this dude's on our side.
Hey, we got this guy back.
We're gonna get you guys.
He just levels
them.
And
then he is not aligned with them either. He'll take the Spear of Destiny, but he's really looking for revenge.
Where is Indiana Jones?
So it ends up being this sort of like battle chase thing where like the Spear of Destiny is like switching between hands between the different sides, while also they're fighting amongst each other and chasing each other.
Man, yeah, because like everybody's mad at each other. Like, hey, like our British villain are being like, we're on the same side. I am on no one's. On no one's side, and I'm certainly not on yours.
Yeah,
you're Churchill's man. Yeah. Also, I hate Dr. Jones.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Indiana's just like,
and since he's dug himself out, he doesn't even care about the Nazi agenda anymore. So when the
our British traitor,
Sergeant Colonel. What when the Nazis the lieutenant of the Nazis. He's like, oh hooray! We thought you were dead, and he's all like, your Reich means nothing to me any longer. I don't know, something like that. Just so then there's sort of four sides: Indy, our British guy,
our traitor,
the return of the first villain, and the Nazis, and they're all messing with each other.
And Indy's just stuck fighting them all at once. I mean, it does come down to
Short Round.
Yeah, well, Short Round and Indiana basically trading punches and blows with our two villains, our villain from this movie and our resurrected villain from our first. We get to see some, like, that's a good, if you think of Temple of Doom, there's Indy fighting the muscle on the conveyor belt while Short Round's fighting the kid, right? So it's sort of a call back to that, where we see Indiana Jones trading punches with one of them while Short Round's trading punches with the other.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. Yeah. Right. Obviously Indiana Jones saves the day here. There's something happening here that I don't necessarily think is important, but the stakes are never to a point where we are afraid that Indiana Jones is going to die. We can always assume he's going to get out of it, right? And particularly if we're maintaining Crystal Skull as canon, we know he's going to get to there. But that doesn't mean we can't put them in peril and like we worry how they're going to get out of this.
I'd want to take more along. We didn't take Marcus along on either of these. I'd
like him in the second one. At least on the second one.
Oh no, the third one, because with the second one we get the other two guys.
I suggested Marcus coming along because he's the one who says, "Indy, we got to go identify the ship of Theseus."
I guess I didn't see him going past that.
Okay, that's fine. For this though, you're saying get him on the full adventure.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I love that, especially if Sal is along too.
Sure.
I wish this could be John Rhys Davies and Harrison Ford and everyone else.
Yeah. Those are details to discuss.
The casting is like we're not going to sit here and cast our new Indiana Jones, right? There's no sense in us doing that because realistically, I think the best way to do this, and I stand by this for all franchise characters, you don't need to stunt cast this character. The character is going to ultimately, if it's a good movie, sell itself. If I don't know, maybe I'm wrong because people didn't like Solo, despite the fact that it actually is it's a pretty solid movie, but it's like, man, that's not Harrison Ford, so I'm not going to watch it. I stand by not needing to stunt cast Batman because it's freaking Batman. People don't care who's playing him. People really care who plays Batman.
I do.
So, but anyway, there's no sense in us sitting here right now to go, oh, it should be
so-and-so or so-and-so.
Because I don't want to do that. Because I think really the best way to do it would be
that's such a fun thing
to cast a nobody.
I remember when right after Guardians of the Galaxy and Jurassic World, Chris Pratt could have done everything.
Yeah.
I was all on board.
I was on board for the Pratt train
at the time.
At the time, yeah.
I'm no longer on that train.
There's a short film that came out as of recording this just a couple days ago, and it's a pitch for a Robin Williams biopic. And it's a short film of a moment in Robin Williams' life, and they found this incredible impersonator. Like this is someone who has done TikToks and YouTube videos of impersonating people here and there, but particularly his Robin Williams is incredibly spot on. When Age of Adeline, I think is the name of the movie, it's Blake Lively, Harrison Ford is in it. There is as an actor in there who's supposed to be Harrison Ford as he was young.
Okay.
And they really missed an opportunity because there was an Instagrammer, TikToker, YouTube guy who did an incredibly good Harrison Ford and looks like him. And so I think something like recasting, it's important to get someone who can goddamn play the part really, really well.
To me, that it's more about striking that attitude, getting the right mood, the right attitude.
And I think, and I'm not suggesting this at all, that Alden Ehrenreich should play, because he played Solo, right? Or was that is that Baby Driver?
I don't remember.
Anyway, he did capture the swagger and the right style of that version of Han Solo in more than, I mean, freaking Donald Glover nailed doing a Billy D.
Yeah. And I maybe, do I hate to say this? Maybe I'm reluctant to say it. I think having 3 movies will really help.
Like
making one movie, as long as we knock it out of the park, as long as we Casino Royale it, people won't have a problem with Daniel Craig.
Mark Johnson. People will accept it if it's good.
If there had been more than one solo movie, right? I think the first one was we don't like this guy, and then a second one would have been like, oh,
Martin Campbell.
Okay, well, I guess, and then a third one would have been like, all right,
we accept this now. This is our.
And
You've
just
beaten us into liking
just in time to then change the cast up again.
No, just in time to hand that baton off to Short Round to be the new Indiana Jones.
There are other things where I like the idea of a mantle being handed. Like I like the idea of 007, James Bond being a title, which they kind of spoiler, I guess, play around with in the newest one.
Yeah.
Someone else gets the number.
Skyfall took care of that.
That's true.
Yeah. 007, the handoff is fine.
Or like, we've explored it in like some fan things where Nick Fury is actually not a person's name but a title. Like I'm okay with that. Indiana Jones just doesn't really that doesn't to me work as a title.
Okay. I agree to disagree because I think if we knock this out, if we're so in this magical scenario where we do this 3-picture deal of Indiana Jones greatness and people want more, we can either continue it with our new Indiana or hand it off in a way that they could not do a Shia LaBeouf.
Sure.
Because I think I like the idea of handing it off because then it's not even trying. Like if someone said like all of our ideas suck here.
So here's why I don't like handing it off.
Yeah.
Because that continues to make the franchise finite. And it's no longer it can't be the ever continuing episodic adventure
of this one man.
Yeah. If Indiana Jones is always Indiana Jones just played by different people through different movies, you can have a bunch of iterations.
Okay. Similar to James Bond in that regard. Okay. Yeah, I really, if we could
think of Pirates of the Caribbean, I know he would never give the roll up, but if after the first 3 movies, after the first 4 movies, they had tried, like, what if Jack Sparrow was played by someone else?
I don't like it.
No,
because I don't know. There's certain this just comes back down to the fact that without Harrison Ford, there is no Indiana Jones, and even old Harrison Ford, I don't buy it. Like Indiana Jones exists in those 3 movies, and that's it. And the challenge, the challenge of trying to, we're handing off the mantle to a different actor. We're not handing off in universe to a different character. And I think that's as far as we can go. We can just recast it and try to make the best movie we can, and then in the end,
because also in the continuity, if you hand it off to Short Round and he's now Indiana Jones, technically in the continuity of the world, that means Indy is still Indy in the 50s, but at the same time, there's also Short Round going by the moniker of Indiana Jones.
That's why I suggested
we end up with the Society of Indiana Joneses,
the Indiana Jones-verse.
Yeah,
and I want to rewrite history and lose Mac as a character and make it Short Round.
I mean, that's a really good suggestion, but
we can't do that.
Unfortunately, not in.
We can hypothesize 3 fake films, but I can't rewrite history for Crystal Skull. Okay, so first movie was Indiana Jones and the Hollow Earth.
Yep.
Second movie was Indiana Jones and
the Ship of
Theseus. Third movie was Indiana Jones and the Spear of Destiny.
Yep.
I mean, those are great titles. I can see the poster. I can imagine like there are set pieces we've crafted or just the Hollow Earth allows us a lot of like, okay, underground adventure type things.
Well, I mean, the Hollow Earth, once they get through the tunnels, that's a jungle adventure.
Yeah. So there's built-in set pieces there.
Yeah.
I think the high seas adventure angle of it, especially because we're not doing pirate ships. I mean, the ship of Theseus itself would be, but we're talking like the submarines and the U-boats and the freighters of Katanga from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like, I can't really think of anything else that does a high sea adventure set in the 40s, right? Like that seems unique. But
technically, I forget which one. I think was it for not Forbidden Planet. MST3K did a movie.
Okay.
That did something like that.
That must have been so
and
good.
Then, because
And then our third one being the Spear of Destiny, we're sort of getting back to traditional locations because we're just through the desert, through the cities. I think that's fine.
No, well, again, I don't necessarily think it's the desert. It might be in Russia, because that.
Okay.
Or, well, I guess Alexander conquered like
half
most of the world, so
planet.
it really could be anywhere. But we could go through the ruins of the Library of Alexandria.
Ooh, yes.
To find where the spear currently. I don't know.
We have to find the three pieces of the trident.
Always three, yeah.
In that second movie.
Yeah.
In the Spear of Destiny, it could just be one, like getting to the spear, and then once it's like gotten, and then that like third act handing off, moving it, shuffling it around the board. We just won't put them through a digital forest with monkeys swinging on vines.
Correct.
Because that's what the crystal skull was, tossed back and forth.
Yeah.
We just had to do that better.
Yeah.
Huh. Love interests throughout this. Are we letting Indiana Jones still be a romantic, smooching the ladies kind of guy?
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
Oh, we do have the big super villainess in the second movie.
And she's a proper femme fatale who turns. So she's the love interest for most of it.
In the first movie, perhaps...
I imagine it would be someone native to the Hollow Earth.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Similar to,
I mean, it's a little
Atlantis in the Lost Kingdom, but that's fine. I yes, we acknowledge it's like Atlantis.
It's a pulp trope, not a cliche, a trope.
In the third movie, I'm going to say this. It's a bad idea. I'm going to say, it. Could we have a love interest that Short Round and Indy are both interested in? Create a love triangle. It's a bad idea. That is a bad idea. I acknowledge it's a bad idea, but
like it worked in Last Crusade, and so I guess it could work here. But
then I would go so far as to be like, just let Short Round have the romantic subplot.
Yeah,
and then the Indiana Jones is like mentoring him that way as well. Like, just tell her, get her some flowers. Why am I taking advice from you? You've never had a girlfriend for very long. Yeah, but I've had girlfriends. So flowers? Yeah, get her flowers. I don't know. Something.
There you go. There's the scene.
Yeah, there you go. You know what Indiana Jones has had? Bad dates.
No, he did not.
He did. He almost did.
Sala made sure he didn't.
My friend Indy has never had a bad date thanks to me. Just one guy in the back of the theater. Boo! Yeah. Wow. Okay. I actually would be happy to pad runtime here and discuss anything else, but like...
Well, I think the one thing that wasn't actually demanded that we avoid in almost every episode is sort of it. I think it's unsaid but wanted here.
Yeah,
and that is fan casting.
I know
you don't want to.
You go ahead.
Well, no, I don't. I'm
all right, Doug. Let me look at
that one guy from that one thing.
Let me look at Doug's demand here again. Grace said, yeah, it was find a way to craft a new series without Harrison Ford. 3-picture deal, a direct link to the series that already exists, so we can't reboot, and capture the magic of Raiders, Temple, and Crusade. And I think there's enough callbacks, homage, ripoffs of each of those movies that we are maintaining, at least conceptually, what makes those movies fun.
I'm not going to remember his name.
Do you want to?
Actually, I probably never knew his name. But so I think John Cho is too old to be Short Round. We want a young,
he's in his 40s.
The first person that occurs to me is the one of the football player guys from 13 Reasons Why.
I mean, I can picture him floating by in the Netflix screensaver.
That's the first guy that occurs to me. He's young, and I'm sure he can play something other than a dopey football player.
And he's probably pretty handsome, huh?
Yeah. Because he was I think he was one of Flash's from Spider-Man. I think he was one of Flash's.
Oh, was he?
No,
was he the kid in Far From Home that like aged up? Like he aged 5 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, him.
Yeah, okay. All right. I suppose there'd be an argument to be had about making sure we cast correctly, that we don't just say, oh, another Asian person playing.
Here we go, being white guys.
Yeah. I'm just calling it out so that we're aware that, Short Round might be Japanese and we're trying to cast a Korean. Like, no.
So that's the first one. And just to get the ball rolling, just also because I like him for everything, if we have to do this right now.
Jack Black.
Yeah.
Wow. Indiana Jones.
Oh
Jack
my
Black.
God. Actually, that's a totally different thing. That's how you shake everything up. You go and make a comedy Indiana Jones.
No, I don't want that.
And then the next one after that, people go, oh, okay.
All right.
Okay. We see what you're doing.
So,
can we really try?
Let's take this seriously, folks. Who are you going to say? You want to cast him in everything?
I was going to start with Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy as Indiana Jones? Oh man. I don't know.
I love Tom Hardy for everything.
I want to see Tom Hardy. Like, he's so method in his like crafting of his voice.
Sure.
Like, let's see him do a voice of Harrison Ford. Like, let's see him tap into that.
He already does like a bunch of like, he has several roles that you can go see where he does mumbly, gravelly voices. Like that's not a problem. And also I think a part of recasting is I don't want to just recapture Harrison Ford.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
I don't like cover songs that just try to recreate the original song as much as possible.
Right. Like, everyone was all excited about Weezer's cover of Toto's Africa. It's not good.
No.
It's American Idol.
It sure is Toto's Africa.
I know who could be Sala.
Who?
I don't know if this is appropriate. Andy Serkis was who I thought could, but I think there's we want to stay within the ethnicity correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andy Serkis could play one of the villains then. Just Andy Serkis and everything.
Andy Serkis could be Marcus.
Oh yeah. All right. I can see that.
Oh, Andy Serkis is Marcus and Tom Hardy is Indiana Jones. I love this.
I don't know if I love this, but as I've already made my feelings clear.
Like I said, I want to suggest something to see if anything else popped up. So you're falling into the, like, we just discussed making 3 movies.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you can't get over it not being Harrison Ford,
no.
none of these will even be good.
I can get over it not being Harrison Ford.
Only if it's passed off to someone who can never be Harrison Ford.
I'm not saying like it can't be Harrison Ford. I think we've come up with 3 movies that could very well be. I mean, hell, I'll scrape the barcode off this and we'll call it something else. I'll make these 3 movies just like we did the Lone Ranger in season 1 and made that trilogy. And we're like, Lone Stranger, everybody.
Well, that's sort of why I suggested Nevada Smith.
Yeah.
That's an actual
Pulp.
Actually, I think he precedes Pulp, but that's an actual fictional character. That dude exists and had adventures.
All right. I'm
in fiction. As
far as trying to cast this now, this is the sort of thing that off the top of my head I don't feel comfortable doing because I'm like if I had time to sit and think about it. Well, okay.
No, you got it.
Your studio. I just saw the look in your eye. I know what you're going to say.
Even if you give stuff that you don't like and you don't have room, everyone listening it'll give them something to yell at you about.
Oh, I can't believe he wanted Tom Holland to play Indiana Jones. Oh, Tom Holland, crack my whip. I'm going to get you. You bad Nazi.
I don't.
He doesn't sound like.
No. Let the man
Tommy Holland.
Let the man grow up.
Hey, you know what?
After he finishes being Peter Parker.
Peter Parker, yeah. we very well there very well might be a conversation of him taking this mantle anyway because he's doing Uncharted.
It's true,
and I really pronounced that Uncharted.
Uncharted.
I said that very clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
I mean, I keep looking at all these Marvel movies.
You're looking around the room like, Jude Law, everybody. He can play a Nazi. What's Tom Hiddleston doing? Can he do Harrison Ford? Surely he can. I don't know.
Yeah,
Harrison Ford
I could watch that.
Has a certain. There's a certain. I guess just Indiana Jones in general has a certain manly, adventurous quality to him without really ever feeling. Like when I look back at old James Bond, I'm like, Jesus, this is like misogynistic.
There's a lot of machismo oozing.
Yeah. Whereas like
oozing from that movie,
Indiana Jones, it's because of the way Harrison Ford just plays him is very.
The thing is, I think we can find that other places.
Yeah, I do too.
Example,
I do too. Yeah.
Tom Hiddleston, I think, did that in Kong.
Oh yeah, yeah. He plays a good charming man of action. Yeah, you're right. That I don't know if Hiddleston could be Indiana Jones.
No, he was again.
Yeah, right.
The poster's right there. I can't.
I'm sorry, I got a room full of Marvel movies
staring into his dreamy eyes.
It's such an interesting character type that I don't feel like we get a lot of. And even Chris Pratt, while Star-Lord, like off the heat of Star-Lord, people are like, oh, he could be Indiana Jones. I don't even think that's appropriate. Like, I don't think that's right then,
it was more off of Jurassic World.
Sure.
The combo of those two things.
But he's still too Chris Pratt-y. He's still too funny. And Indiana Jones, albeit Harrison Ford with his physical performance, has some good like physical humor, like getting punched and his legs wobbling and falling on his butt. Like, he sells a joke without being a comedian. Like, I would never accuse Harrison Ford of being a comedian. So imagining someone like Chris Pratt, who is inherently comedic, I feel like, that's an element that shouldn't be so upfront. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know why am I defending this? Earlier I said I didn't want it, but I think Chris Pratt, when in his non-comedic roles, doesn't do that.
Yeah, I don't think he's right for the part. But yeah, okay, so like we can.
I mean, I could still see him cast, but it's just less. It's
Jai Courtney,
less now.
Sam Worthington.
Stop
Taylor
it!
Kitsch.
Stop it!
Henry Cavill.
Why would you do that? I'm trying to have a good time here.
Jeremy Renner.
And also, Henry Cavill can do anything.
Yeah. Just not make good Superman movies.
That's not his fault. That's not his fault. I've come around to that opinion.
Well, I'm interested what the fan casting is for others out there. Imagining a scenario where you have to, who is Indiana Jones? It's not Harrison Ford. Who's going to play Indiana Jones? What 30-something actor can play this character and achieve what we're not thinking of here? What are you giggling at?
He is again too comedic, but Nick no, that's his character. No, it's not Nick Johnson, right?
Oh, Jake Johnson.
Jake Johnson. I'll always get it wrong. Nick Johnson's my friend.
Jake Johnson. I love Jake Johnson.
Jake Johnson. Yes.
That would be quite interesting to see him try to be Indiana Jones, because I just think of Nick Miller from New Girl.
Yeah.
Little Tom Holland, think about it. There you go. Sebastian Stan. There. One of the villains could be portrayed by Paul Bettany.
Again, as looking around the room.
As the betraying Brit, like the Brit who ends up being bad. Yeah. Like Paul Bettany, right?
Yeah.
Jesse Plemons. We just saw him in Jungle Cruise play.
We did, yeah.
Jesse Plemons looks like Ray Winstone from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, just sort of like puffy.
The Skarsgård. One of the Skarsgårds could be the Hollow Earth villain.
Oh yeah, because they're built like brick shit houses. So, all right. Well, I'm interested to see what fan casts people have out there, but I think we can wrap it up the episode here. I feel really good about like if this at the end of the season we decide to write something, I'm adding this to the list. I want to write at least the first one of this. I want to write an Indiana Jones.
Okay, we're not even going to do a poll anymore. We're just going to
no. I'm just saying when we throw out the list at the end of the year, I will. We have to agree unanimously what goes on the list. And
sure.
Right now I'm like, this was fun. I'm going to be thinking about this one.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so Douglas over at Down the Hall Productions, how did we do? You got to let us know. And everyone listening, you can throw your fan casts out there, and maybe there's some books or comics or games ideas that just do that. Just do the Lost City of Atlantis one. Come on.
And tell me how wrong I am with my fan cast.
Tom Hardy and who is your Marcus?
Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis, and Jack Black is in there somewhere. Jack Black's playing Short Round. I think that does it for this episode. We'd love to know if we met the demand today, so please hit us up if you agree or disagree. So let's do the social. You can message us directly at studiodemandsit.com or on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Studio Demands It. If you're not already, you can subscribe to us on all the pod forms that are available. And if you feel like giving us a little review, you can do that in-app on Apple Podcasts, and that really helps out the show. So thank you for those who've thrown that out into the universe. You can find me at TC's Big Head. Jim, can people find you at Angus MacGyver? No, wait, what was it?
Mickus
Anger
McIvus.
Angiver. What was
McIvus Anger.
McIvus Anger. There it is. You can find Jim at McIvus Anger.
I better get on getting that.
Oh man.
McIvus.
Anyway, I want to give a big thank you to 6.5 Media for giving us this platform and everything they do. We literally wouldn't exist at all without them.
Nope.
We would cease to be. But check out everything 6.5.
As you know, individuals in the world.
We would just blip out of existence.
We would, yeah.
That does it for this episode. We'll be back again soon for another demand to challenge and improve the world of cinema. I am TC.
And I am Jim.
And this is all we got. That's the end of the episode. Thank you.
Studio demands.
Okay, bye. Studio demands it.
Studio demands.
Demanded, and we meet the demands.
All the time.
All the time.